Hello, this is Mrs. Sawyer, and for this assignment, you are to create an activity for anything that you are going to teach, any content area or grade level. Just pick a standard that you would like to have an activity for, but this activity must be collaborative and it must use technology. In addition, you need to have instructions for the students because as we talked about in class, the instructional piece is sometimes the hardest part of the assignment to get the kids to do what you want them to do. So in this example, this is an activity that I wanted to do several weeks ago when we were working on the ISTE standards for students. This activity was part of a larger framework or a larger lesson on digital citizenship. In this case, I wanted you to collaboratively work within your team and within the class to create a slide deck of the 7 ISTE standards for students. We did not get to do this activity, but this was the activity that I had planned. On the front slide, I have, of course, the title. I have the link to the standards so that when you were doing this mini activity, you would be able to access the standards directly from the presentation. And this is actually a link to this slide deck. So I put this here because I was going to put it up on the screen, have you go using that tiny URL and get to this presentation using that URL. I created some directions and I'm not going to read through them, but in here I'm trying to think through how do I want the students to proceed? What do I want them to do first? Do I want them to have roles? How will I have them access this assignment, or what do I want them to do this? In this case, I did choose to have some roles. I have that you will have some time of reading individually. You'll have some time of brainstorming together. I have one person, which is the scribe, opening the presentation and navigating to the slide, and then ideally the entire team, after they have brainstormed, we're going to direct the scribe into what to put on their assigned slide. At the end, towards the end of class, the idea was for us to go through the 7 slides that were created by the class rather than created by the instructor. Now I could have done it a different way. I could have asked each group to create an entire slide deck. So in group 1, they're not just doing standard 1, they're doing all of the standards, but each person in the group is adding to that one presentation. So if instead I wanted each group to create a separate presentation, I might have you again move into your groups. I might have you have the scribe open up the Google Drive and then share the presentation with each member of the team. And of course you always have them share with the teacher so that you have a copy of it. And then I would have continued with the instructions starting with number 3. Now this set of instructions is based on the idea that beforehand the students would have learned how to share, so that I'm not teaching how to share. They've already done that in the past. If they have not, that's got to be added to my instructions as well. The instructions that I was going to use are a little bit more simple. Instead of you sharing it out, I was sharing a presentation out, and then all of the class, all of the groups, were adding to that one presentation. And then if you just quickly look through, you'll see I have it already set up. Each of the standards are listed so that it was ready for all of the groups with those instructions. So for this assignment, you are creating an activity, which this is an activity. Make sure that you have students' directions so that the students will know how to actually go through that activity successfully. Please be very careful about what you choose to acknowledge as background information, such as that students already know how to share. In my case, I knew that we had not gone through it, and you may or may not have known that, so I took that piece out and I shared it to you. So I have an activity, I have student instructions, and then in the course, there is a summary sheet, a summary template, where you're just going to reflect on this activity, filling in each of those squares. You take out my bullet points, put your own ideas in that, and reflect on how you would actually use this. How does this meet the different FEEPs, and what kind of data, what kind of information would you be getting with your students, and how would you use that information? If you have any questions, please be sure to email me. I am here to help, and I hope you have fun creating this assignment. One last thing about this assignment, keep in mind that one of the end projects, one of the two end projects, is to create a technology-infused lesson plan. A lesson plan is often a series of different lesson activities. You are welcome to develop these lesson activities with the end goal of your tech-infused lesson plan in mind. So in other words, if you already know what you would like to do your tech-infused lesson plan on, you can create this activity to go into your larger full lesson that's due at the end of the semester. You can develop this for the purpose of including it in that final lesson plan, because there's a couple of other things that need to go into that lesson plan. And there it is, your assignment for this week, a collaborative lesson activity using technology.